Hey guys, it's Kat and I am back today with a bit of a chatty video. Now I did want to have my Huda video up this time now, but I don't know if you can hear, but I'm currently sick. So I am wearing the rich one, but I have one more look to go before I complete the video, and I just haven't worn makeup in the past week because I've just blow my nose so much it comes off and it's ridiculous. So I thought I'll do this video in case that one doesn't pan out, and now the sun's gone. Thank you. In case you want to know what's on my lips, I'm getting back into my Too Faced Melted Mattes. This is a Gingerbread Girl, which is a holiday one. Came out last year. It's back again this year. I love it. So that's what I'm wearing. But this video is all about my tips and tricks with project panning. So I've been project panning for probably about 3 to 4 years now in some way, shape or form. And I really enjoy it because I feel like I'm using my makeup, and I'll talk about that a bit more soon. But the Project Pan series is by far my most popular series on my channel right now, and has been all year pretty much. So whenever I put up an update, which I put up one last week, I always get questions in the comments about how to start, or concerns people have about starting, or people not understanding what it's about, and you know, not like, or they've tried and they've failed, and you know, so I understand that getting into project panning is quite hard. So I'm just going to start by talking about why I like project panning, what it is, what I like about it, what I get out of it, and what I think it's great for other people as well. And ignore the sun, it's just going to go in and out, and it's driving me absolutely bananas today. So essentially what a project pan is, it's just an internet term for focusing on a certain amount of sort of like beauty products, and trying to either use them up or hit pan on them. So that's where panning came in. So if you've got a pan product and you can like hit the bottom of the pan, so you see the pan, it's hitting pan, and that's where the name came in. Now the whole point of it sort of came in as like, I think like a backlash to a lot of this consumerism that YouTube and the beauty community was promoting, especially like, you know, when I started watching YouTube maybe about like 8 years ago or something, there was so much like buy, what you need to buy, everything you need to buy from Mac. And it just really like spurred on all this purchasing. And then people got to a point where they had big collections of makeup and they're like, I'm not actually using it. So instead of buying things, I'm going to focus on what I have and try to use things up. So there are literally thousands and thousands of different types of project pans. There's no one correct way to project pan. It's all about trying to use up the makeup and doing it in a way that you sort of resonate with. So some people want to use, you know, 31 products by Halloween, or some people want to use 5 products in a month. Some people want to use 50 items by the end of the year. Some people like to, you know, like what I'm currently doing, having like a full face. So a product from each sort of makeup category, and just always working on those and see how you go, and then see how you go at the end of the year, how much you've sort of used up. So there's no one right or wrong way to project pan. It's just about what you want to do. A lot of people try to pan eyeshadow palettes. I will never be able to do that, but go you good thing. It's just what works for you and what challenges you, or what you find most sort of interesting. But the goal is always to use products and sort of get used to products that you currently have instead of buying more. Now, my project pans don't stop me from buying makeup, but it also puts makeup purchasing into perspective for me. So I always think it's a great reality check, but there are people who won't buy another product unless they've used up a product, or you know, they want to finish 50 items in a year before they buy another product. So some people use it as a way to stop them from buying makeup. Other people just use it as sort of like I said, a reality check, and be a little bit more mindful of how long it takes to use up makeup. And I think that's always a great thing to know. So I have tried quite a few different project panning styles, and like I said, it's about finding what suits you. But I think the tips that I find the easiest to sort of incorporate this into your life is to remember that this is sort of a routine that you have to force yourself to get into. And I think they say that it takes roughly a month to form a routine, or to break a routine. And so I got into project panning when I was working full time in an office. And I found that if I had my project pan items in like a tub sort of on my desk, and they were the products I reached for every single day when I was going to work, I really enjoyed that because it formed a bit of a habit. So I knew what I was wearing every day. I was getting a lot of use out of the products because I was using them 5 times a week. And also it sort of formed a habit for me. So I knew that when I was going to work and I was just doing my makeup, this is the makeup I was using. So it really helped me form that habit. And I think that's the key thing. If you always have to challenge yourself to go, oh, I want to use this, but I have to use my Project Pan product, you're just never going to use it. It's going to be in the, like, one of those guilty things that just make you feel bad that you're not doing it. So I feel like it's a way that you need to find how it works into your lifestyle and just form a habit. Do it for a month and see if it becomes quite natural. So my lifestyle has changed quite a lot now because I work from home. So I find on the filming days, I tend to wear whatever makeup I want. And then on my other days where I'm just either editing or going to the shops or the weekend where I'm seeing family and doing whatever, I'll use my Project Pan product. So I sort of have swapped my routine around a little bit, but the premise is still the same. Most of the days I use Project Pan products, and then there's a couple of days a week where I experiment and I like to play with makeup. That used to be for me when I was working full time on the weekends, and now it's when I'm filming or going out. That's when I sort of try the new makeup or play with the new makeup. So I do think a tip of forming a routine and sort of making it work in your lifestyle is the best one, because if I had to choose what foundation, what primer, what powder, what concealer, what blah, 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 everything I have to use on a daily basis, I would add at least 20 minutes to my day because I'm like, what do I use? Do I use this? Do I use that? Or maybe I'll use this, or maybe I'll use that. Whereas if I have a tub of products set aside and I know they all work together, they all create a full face, I find all the products pretty enjoyable, then that's so much easier and it cuts down so much time in my day. The next thing is, and this is going to be depending on who you are, but I don't force myself to pan things that I don't enjoy. So for example, I don't really pan lipsticks too often. I don't pan eyeshadows too often because I enjoy playing with those in my routine. I love reviewing eyeshadows. I love changing up my lip product. So even though I do sometimes have products in my Project Pan that are lip products or eye products, I don't put much pressure on myself to succeed with those products because I know that I get most of my joy in my makeup with my eyeshadow and my lip. And that's how I change up my looks every day. And that's what I really enjoy doing. So sometimes it's worth knowing your limitations and going, okay, I know I can pan 5 foundations in a year, but I can't pan an eyeshadow, and that's okay. And that's okay. Like, we all have things that we really enjoy and things that we want to change up every day. And if yours is a blush or if yours is a highlighter, those are things that you probably shouldn't put in your Project Pan. Or if you do incorporate them, don't put too much pressure on yourself because, you also want to enjoy the process and not sort of lose yourself in the process. Now that comes to my next tip, where I only incorporate things that I like. So I don't generally like to incorporate things that are like I really, really love. So if I really love a foundation, I generally don't incorporate it unless it's getting old and I want to use it up. I like to incorporate makeup that I know is usable and will work for me, but for one reason or another, I don't want it anymore. And that could either be that it's getting old, maybe it works for a certain season, but I know in the next season it's not going to work. Maybe I've got things that are just better that I want to use instead. So I like to focus on those products because I know I can get a decent makeup look. It will work for me. It's not going to be a painful experience, but I use up makeup that for some reason I no longer want in my collection. Now that's not the same with everyone. Some people love to use products that they hate as like a challenge to themselves, to be like, forcing myself to use this and get use out of it before I throw it out. And that's totally fine, but that's not how I like to live my life because I really don't like using makeup I hate every day. So often Project Pans also are a good test that you can try things out for a couple of weeks or for a month. And then if you don't like it, you can decide, do I want to throw it out now or do I want to keep going with it? And that's what I'd like to do. And if I decide I don't want to go along with it anymore, I throw it out or pass it on to someone that will use it. But it just depends on what how much you want to challenge yourself. But personally, I just want this to be sort of pretty easy and I don't want my makeup to look crap every day using my Project Pan products. So my recommendation is definitely not to pick your favorite products that you're going to miss if you use it up, but use the products that you quite like, but you don't love, or products that you love, but they're going old. So that's what I tend to focus on. It makes the experience so much more pleasurable. All right, so this is just my quick list of what I've sort of experienced and how roughly I find it, how long it takes to use up makeup. Now, I haven't incorporated skincare or fragrances or hair care in this. This is just makeup. But I find that for me personally, the products I put all over my face are the ones that I can use up in around 3 months or just under. So primers, finishing sprays, foundations, pressed powders, I can definitely use up generally in about 3 months, depending on the foundation or depending on the size of the powder, for example. But if it's a very, very high coverage foundation that you use a small amount, it will take longer. But if it's a standard foundation that you need to use a couple of pumps to cover your whole face, you can use it up. I can use it up in 3 months of using it maybe like 4 or 5 times a day. So this is all, you got to use it consistently. If you use it every single day, 7 days a week, you're probably going to use it up faster. But for me, I think it's pretty much accurate to say that I wear makeup 4 to 5 times a week. Other things that I can use up pretty fast. So micro brow pencils, if I dedicate using them most of the time, I can definitely use them up. Sharpenable pencils, so whether that's eyeliners or lip pencils, they are pretty easy because as you sharpen them, they go down pretty fast. So generally about 3 months, if you're using it every day, you can definitely use it up. Lipsticks, lip balms, and lip glosses, you can also use up in 3 months if you use them every day. Now, I don't find that this happens for me because I don't use the same lip product every day. But if you are the type of person that has like one nude lipstick that you're happy to wear every day and reapply, you can easily use it in under 3 months. All right, the next category is 3 to 6 months, so it's a bit more of a commitment. These things are like concealers. Depending on how much concealer you use and how big your concealer is, I think it's realistic that it's going to last 3 to 6 months. I find that bronzers for me, if they're a standard size bronzer, I can use them up in 3 to 6 months. I do use quite a lot of bronzer on my face to sort of warm up my face, so I do that most days. Even if I'm not wearing much makeup, I really like the sort of effect it gives on the face, so I do wear bronzer quite a lot. I also bring it down my neck if my base product's too light, so I can use a bit of bronzer and I can use it up in 3 to 6 months. If the bronzers are massive pan bronzers, no, you can't, but a standard one you can, or I can. Eyeshadow primers, depending on which ones they are, I can. So if they're in like a tube or something, I can definitely use them up in 3 to 6 months. If it's a MAC, like a paint pot, they take about a year to use up, so it really varies on the product. Single eyeshadows, I find that if you use them every single day, you can use them up in 3 to 6 months. But once again, if you like versatility with your eyeshadows, it's much harder to do and it'll take a lot longer. I did put mascara in this category. Technically, mascaras expire at the 3-month mark, but if you're a little bit like me and you just use them until they start drying out, 3 to 6 months is a mascara. I also find that cream face products, so cream color products, whether it's a cream bronzer, cream blush, highlighter stick, you can use those up in 3 to 6 months if you use them quite regularly. Powder products take a bit longer. Retractable pencils, eyeshadow sticks, like thicker sort of eyebrow pencils, I find 3 to 6 months is pretty realistic. Then you get the products that are more like 6 to 12 months. I find large, loose powders take a long time. I think my Cody bun nearly lasts me like a year. Brow powders or pomades, I find they take a very long time to use and will generally take you about a year, as well as gel like pot liners. If you use them most days, will take you roughly a year. The things that personally take me over a year, and sometimes these will go into 18 months potentially, is using a full highlighter or a blush. So powder products, they're very, very hard. You use a very small amount of them and the pans are generally quite large, or they're quite pigmented that you sort of put a small amount on. They take the longest to pan, and if you've ever tried to pan one, it's a hard task, and it really puts it into perspective when you go to buy another product. You're like, this is going to take me 18 months to use. Do I actually need another one? So that's roughly how long things take me. I've also learned that skincare, so generally all over face products, skincare, takes about 3 months. Eye creams take 3 to 6 months. I find that perfumes, depending on the size, if it's about 50 mils, you can use it around 3 months. If it's like 100 mils, it's more like 6 months. So that's what I've sort of learned. But once again, this is consistent use. You've got to use it like 4 to 5 times a week. or even more to get these sort of results. So the last tip I'm going to give before I go, because this lighting is driving me bananas, is to every month, even if you don't film videos or you don't have an Instagram account or anything like that, if you're just doing this on your own and you don't want to create content around it, every month check in with yourself. It's because it sort of makes you remember the products again. So often I find that I'm going really, really good with a couple of products and then I've sort of neglected a couple of other products. So it's good to regroup and really reassess the products that you're using so you can sort of reevaluate and go, oh yeah, I've got to start using that again. It's also really good to mark your products because sometimes if you don't see the progress, you lose sort of motivation. So it's a really great way to keep track and motivate yourself. And I'll talk a couple of ways that you can do that. So I find that there's around 4, maybe more, but I'm going to talk about 4 different techniques on sort of measuring the progress of things. So one that I really like is if you have a bottle product that you can sort of see the settle line, I really love to mark it. Now, the good thing about marking it is that you can clearly see the progress and you can also predict how long it will take you to use something up. So if I, go, okay, on a month where I didn't use it much, I made this much progress, but I know that if I use it quite a lot, I make this much progress and it will take me 2 more months or 3 more months or 1 more month or 2 weeks or whatever it is to use it up. So it's a really good way to track your progress and predict how it goes. And it will also motivate you to go, okay, I'm going to use it more because I see good progress when I do. So I really love that. I use nail polish to mark my bottles. That's why they've got different colors, mainly because it just lasts really well. I've tried permanent marker and it just rubs off. So I find that nail polish is the best way to mark my bottles. When you have a pen item or like a lipstick or something, the sort of 2 ways that you can keep track of it is take a photo of it. So you can either twist it all the way out, take a photo, and then you can see the progress of it going down. If you don't want to do that, a lot of people like to mark it on a piece of paper. So they will, so they'll get a piece of paper, they will twist this up, they will mark where it's at, and then as it goes down throughout the months, they will mark the little lines that similar to this, but they're doing it on a piece of paper. So people like to do that. I don't like to do that because I do videos and I find it's a little bit more visually easier to see if I take photos of it. But yeah, if you just had like a notebook and you just had like lined up the base of the product to the page, or picked a spot to line it up, like if you want to start lining it up at the brown mark or something, you just keep track of it by marking where it's at. Then the last way is to weigh things. So if you have products like this that you can't mark because it doesn't settle, you can weigh them to see how the weight goes down over the months. Now I find that this is probably the least motivating way because products often don't contain much, and if you do use them, often like a eyeshadow primer, use the smallest amount. So you're seeing really minute increments, and it can be a little bit demotivating, and also you don't get the visual appeal of seeing it go down. So I don't like doing that as much, but it is a good way to track products that you can't either see the level of or you can't mark any other way. So that's about it. But my main tips, just to sort of recap, probably the ones that stand out the most is to form a routine. So if you are into the habit of using the same makeup every day when you go to work, but maybe swap out the lip or swap out whatever you want to make it a little bit different, that will form habits that will continue. So it's so much easier to reach for those products every time if you form that habit. And then it becomes really simple, really, really simple, and you see the progress pretty quickly. Another thing that I like to do is, like I said, don't use products that you hate. If you really hate a product and it makes your makeup look bad, throw it out, because you don't want to use that every day. It makes you feel like crap. You have constantly bad makeup days, and what's the point? So use products that you do like and that you can get along with, but for some reason or another, you just don't want in your collection anymore. So that will make the, using it every day a lot more simple as well. And then I think the third main tip is to just understand that these products do take some time. So like I said, the minimum will be, unless you've used up like the majority of a product, and sometimes that's a good way to do it as well. Choose products that are almost full and then some products that are almost empty, so you can find that you're getting progress along the way, and you actually go, oh yeah, I've used up a product. Okay, yeah, might have only had 10 applications left in it, but I used it up. Go me. So you can also add in those to really sort of give you that kickstart. But just be mindful that even like most products will take around 3 months minimum to use up. So you have to really stick with it. A lot of people lose motivation in the first month or two and they're like, I'm not making any progress. It is what it is. And I think my last tip is also not to be too hard on yourself. If there's some items that you just cannot pan because you don't enjoy doing it, don't include them. It's not a problem. If you really want to change your lipstick every single day, don't pan a lipstick. It makes no sense. Just enjoy your lipstick. But you know, that shouldn't stop you from being able to use up base products, because I love using the same base products every day, not thinking about the combination. I know the foundation, the powder, the concealer, the bronzer, the highlighter, and the blush work together, and I use it every single day as my base. And then I play with color, because that's what I like to do. So that's how I approach it, and I think you just have to learn what works for you. But if you do stick with it, you will start noticing that not only do you have a lot more insight into your makeup habits, it will curb some of your purchases. You'll know like how many foundations do I really need to buy in a year. You'll actually know. Also, you'll get more satisfaction out of using the makeup you already own. So you might be less inclined to buy other stuff because you've got stuff that you want to use. And using up products, you start feeling like you've got value for money, and that you start to streamline your collection into like the best of the best. That's my goal. Get rid of the stuff I don't like, use up the products that I do like but don't love, and then the leftovers are the products I love, and then by the end of it, hopefully, I only have makeup that I really am passionate about. So that's how I like to do it. And those are my tips to help people if they're thinking about doing it, or if they've tried and they haven't really found it easy to do. Hopefully those tips help. And this sun's driving me bananas, so I'm off. I will see you guys in the next one, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.